everybody, Steve here, and today I'm taking a look at Diggin Deep Tennis from Diggin Deep Sports. This was designed by Rob Lennon and released in January of 2012. The game's for 1 or 2 players and will take you about 30 minutes to play out a match. Now this is a point-by-point simulation of tennis, where all of the players are graded on their strengths and weaknesses with a range of results on their card. They have different values depending on what surface they're playing on, as well as an injury rating, and then of course the signature Diggin Deep points that they can use at various times during the match. You'll determine the winner of each point by rolling 3 10-sided dice, then looking at either the server or the returner's card, depending on what you rolled, and you'll get one of 7 different results. Now 5 of those results will let you know immediately who won the point. One of them will have you drawing a card from a deck, and then one of those results will have you going to a chart for a long volley where you'll roll some additional dice to see who won the point. So what we have here looks to be a quick but realistic simulation of tennis, but is it any fun? Is it a forehand smash down the line for the game-winning point? Or will it have you yelling, "Are you serious?" at the chair umpire? Well, let's take a look at what you get with the game. I'll go through a sample of play, and then I'll tell you what I think after further review. Okay, so first we'll take a look at the game parts. Now, there are 2 versions of the game available. There's an ebook version and then a printed version. And for this review, I'm looking at the ebook version, which of course you have to print yourself. Now, there's actually only 7 pages for the game parts, and there's a 3-page rule booklet. That's it. There's just 3 pages. It details all the results. Then there is a scorecard that also has a scoreboard on the side. Just 1 page of charts. And then the last 2 pages is the tournament schedule for the year that shows you where a tournament takes place, and then most importantly, what the surface is of that tournament. The game also comes with 2 40-card decks. One is a printer-friendly version, and then the other uses photos and has more color in it. For my review, I'll be using the printer-friendly version of the cards. So here we have a match all set up and ready to go between Borg and McEnroe. They're playing on a grass court. So all we have to do on the score sheet is we write in the player's name and then what their surface rating is. For Borg, it's an A, and McEnroe has an A+. And then we decide who's going to serve first, and we'll say that Borg has the honor of serving first. And then we just simply roll the dice, and then we read them in order. In this case, we're going to read red, white, and blue. And then if it's between 1 and 500, we'll read it on the serve chart. And if it's between 501 and 900, we'll read it from the return side. And then if it's a 901 to 1000, we'll draw from the check the deck card. There are 7 different results that can occur during a point. Either the server gets an ace and wins the point. The returner wins the point on a double fault. There is a winner result. If that comes on the server side, then he wins the point. And if it comes on the returner side, then he wins the point. And then just the opposite result for the unforced error. If the unforced error result comes up on the server's card, then the returner wins the point. And if it comes up on the returner's card, then the server wins the point. There is a first with a question mark result on the server's column. And what that means is if it comes from the first serve, then the server wins the point. And down here it has a second with a question mark. And that means that if it was the second serve, then the returner wins the point. And very simply, how you determine if it's the first or the second serve is each player will have a box down here with a first and a second column. And that's going to tell you the range. So for Borg, a 1 through 7 would be the first serve. And then an 8, 9, or 0 would be the second serve. And you're just going to look at the last die of the 3 dice rolled. The check the deck result just simply means you draw the top card from the check the deck. And then the last result is the long volley. And this is where the surface rating of each of the players is going to come into account. When you get a long volley result, whether it's on the server's card or the returner's card, you're going to roll 1 dice for each player, go to the long volley chart, and see if the result is a winner or a volley. And you're going to keep rolling until one player gets a winner result and the other player gets a volley result. Okay, so let's play through one game with Borg serving to McEnroe. So we'll roll the dice. And the first result is a 0-4-5. We'll look on Borg's card, and that is an ace. So he wins the point. And it's 15 love Borg. We'll roll the dice again. And we get a 5-3-3. So we'll go down to McEnroe's card. And we see that that is a winner result. So McEnroe returns for a point. And it is 15 all. We'll roll the dice again. And it's a 6-0-8. So again, we'll go down to McEnroe's card. And it's the second question mark. So we look at Borg's service, and we see that with the last digit 8, that is the second serve. So McEnroe would win the point again. And it's now 15-30 McEnroe. Next serve, it's a 4-3-2. So that is going to be a long volley. Borg has a surface rating on grass of A, and McEnroe has a surface rating of A+. So the first roll, we get a 4 for Borg and a 5 for McEnroe, which are both a winner. So we'll roll again. And this time we get a 2 for McEnroe, which is a winner, and a 1 for Borg, which is a volley. So McEnroe wins the long volley, and he goes up 15-40. So now it is break point for McEnroe, so that means that Borg is able to use a digging deep point, because he can use it when he is serving on a break point. So he'll choose to use a digging deep point, and McEnroe will decide to not use one. So we'll mark a digging deep point off for Borg, and we roll the dice, and it is a 5-4-2. So this time we're going to use the digging deep serve column on Borg's card, and it is a first with a question mark. And looking at his service, we see that a 2 falls under the first, so he wins the point. And here we see how a digging deep can change it, because if a regular 5-4-2 would have gone down to McEnroe's card, and he would have won the point. So it's now 30-40 McEnroe. It's still break point. So Borg will use a digging deep point again. And this time McEnroe decides to also use one. So we'll mark one off for both of them. And when both players use a digging deep point, you simply roll on the normal chart. So this time we roll, and we get a 9-3-7. So that means that we're going to check the deck. We'll flip the top card, and we see that it is a possible sprained ankle. And we're going to do an injury check on the server, which in this case is Borg. And it says the player tweaks his ankle while attempting a spectacular return. The point is lost, and you check for an injury. So McEnroe's going to win the point, but we're going to see how injured Borg is. So how this works, we roll all 3 dice. We read the first 2 and see if that falls within the range listed on Borg's card. We rolled a 1-8-5. So an 18 is just outside of his injury. So he manages to not have a serious injury. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that last die, the 5, and compare that on the injury chart. And we see that with a 5 on the C column, that means he'll not be able to dig deep for the rest of this set. So Borg loses the point with the card. And he also loses that game. So we'd mark that McEnroe won the first game, and then the serve would move to McEnroe, with Borg unable to use any digging deep points for the rest of the first set.
Okay, so there's a look at Digging Deep Tennis. Now, there's a lot to like about this game. It's a very easy game to set up. It takes a very small footprint on your tabletop. The rules are super simple to follow, and it's a fairly quick game to play out. Now, on the downside, I found that the long volleys, which tend to come up a lot during a match, can really drag on, especially when you have two great players. So that problem may have been highlighted more in this set than if you had a normal season set. But when you have two A or A+ rated players, sometimes those long volleys can go on for 5, 6, or even 10 die rolls until you finally find a winner. So that's something that you may want to house rule yourself when you get playing the game. Also, I was unable to print out the photo check the deck cards because I couldn't get the front and the backs of the cards to match up to cut out. There were a couple of just minor errors where it said server instead of returner on some of the check the deck cards. And then also, for anybody that's a tennis aficionado, you'll notice that on the scoreboard, on the score sheet, that it has a 45 for one of the scores instead of a 40, which I wouldn't have even noticed before I started reviewing this game. Which brings me to my last point, and that's that you need to know going into this how a tennis match is scored, which I actually didn't, so I spent a lot of time on the tennis scoring Wikipedia page. However, all of these issues have been addressed to the designer, and he's assured me that he's working on an update to the game parts as well as the rules, and in the next edition that comes out, there will be a detailed explanation of how a tennis match is played out. So with all that being said, though, the bottom line is that this is just a fun game to play out. Really quick, very simple to lay out, and you're playing a game in just a couple of minutes. It also has that let's play another game factor, especially with this all-time great set, so you can find out how a player from the 80s would play against a player, say, from the 60s or the 70s. There are some season sets available, including the 2013 season, which was just released. And there was also a PC version of this game that just came out in December that has been getting a lot of rave reviews, so that might be something else that you want to check out. So, for anybody looking for a light yet realistic simulation of tennis on their tabletop, I'd recommend picking up Diggin Deep Tennis. And yes, I'm being serious. Alright guys, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. My name's Steve, and I'll see you next time after further review.